Uh, Yesterday we saw one way of implementing the slowly changing dimension using the change capture stage. So today we will try to implement another slowly changing dimension, and there is a separate stage in data stage that is itself known as the slowly changing dimension stage. So the scenario that we are going to implement is that there are two dimension tables. So slowly changing dimension basically works with a star schema. So where there is a central fact table connected directly to all the dimension tables. So in our example, we'll take two dimension tables. There is a store dimension table and there's a product dimension table. The store dimension table we'll treat it as a type 1 dimension. And the product dimension table will be type 2. That means it will retain the history records. And then there's a fact table that has some measures that are taken from our input data, which is in the form of a file. So it has some records in it. It has some attributes in it. That is the data that we're getting from the source system. So this is the kind of data that we'll be working with. This is our input file, and there's a store name, there's a store manager, there's a store ID based on which we'll be updating the store dimension as well as generating a fact record. And then there is the production data, the production SKU, brand and description again, which will be used to update the production dimension and to pull the relevant production surrogate key for the fact table. So the already existing data in the production dimension is like we already have three records, and since it is a type 2 dimension, we have a flag column which indicates the current record. So a current indicator column which will be Y for the current record and will be no for the history records. And then we have the date column, the effective date and the expiration date, and the expiration date will be set to a maximum value for the active records. The store dimension data it's a type 1 dimension, so there is no need of having the date columns and the indicator column. So it's simply one record for each store. And the sale detail fact will simply have the surrogate key pulled from the production dimension table, the store dimension table, and there will be the measures that will be getting directly from the input data, the sale amount and the sale units. So in the production dimension, what we should expect at the end after implementing our logic through the data stage job is, since it's a type 2, so all the records which already exist for the same product and need to be updated with the data that is coming from the input. So the history records will be expired or the expiration date will be set to the current date, and the indicator for them will be set to no. The new records related to the same product that already existed in the dimension table, the new records will be inserted with the new attribute values. The effective date will become today's date. So we'll use current date in this case for the start date, and the expiration date will be the maximum date. And the current indicator will be set to Y. There will also be some new records which have never existed in the production dimension before. So they'll be inserted as well with the current indicator as Y and the effective date as today's date and the expiration date as the maximum date. So in all, we'll get all these records in the output from the SCD stage, all the records that need to be either inserted or updated. So the SCD stage will output all the records in a single, through the single output link, the update records as well as the insert records. And the store dimension, it's a type 1, so that means any store value that comes in with a new attribute value will simply be updated in the dimension table. So the record will simply be updated and there won't be any new record that will be inserted. And the sale detail fact should have all the records that are coming from the input. All of them should end up in the sale detail fact and with the respective measure amount for the sale amount and the sale unit. So if we try to design this job in data stage, we first need to read the data from our dimension tables and the current batch data, that is the source data that we'll be getting from the source system. So we have it in form of files, or we can directly read from the database tables in case of dimensions, or as we discussed yesterday, we need to unload the dimensions into a single data set that can be used across all the fact table jobs. So now this is my source data and these are my dimension lookup. So I can go to the processing category and there's a stage called the slowly changing dimension stage. I can just use this here. So this will be my primary link and the dimension will be my reference link. And I'll have two output links coming out of this stage. One will be carrying the fact data and one will be carrying the data that is needed to update the dimension table. So we'll just name it correctly so that we will be able to identify it. So if we click on this slowly changing dimension stage, it has all the logic built in itself to identify which record should be updated for the dimension and which should be inserted. So this is how it will look like if we double click on the slowly changing dimension stage. And it has the input and output links. It has two input links. One is the input link coming from the source data. One is the reference input link. And there are two output links. One will be containing the fact data and one will be for the dimension update. So instead of going to each of the tab and selecting what we need to update, selecting the appropriate link name, there's an option in this stage called the fast path. So if we just click on this arrow, it will take us to the property that we need to update in that sequential order. So the very first thing that we need to do is set up the lookup or the reference between the source data and the dimension data. So now I'm looking up for the product dimension table. So the key that I need to match my source data on will be the SKU. So SKU is my product SKU that is coming from the source data and in the dimension that is defined as the SKU. So all these attributes that I see on the right side are the dimension attributes. All these attributes are the ones that are coming from my input link or the source data. So the very first step is define a key to look up with the dimension table. So once I define the key, any of the records that is already existing for the same business key will be pulled up and its surrogate key will be pulled up by this stage. So we have now defined the column on which we want to perform the lookup. That would be the business key of the dimension table. The next important thing in this tab is basically defining the purpose code for each of the dimension attributes. So there is something called as the purpose code, which helps the stage to identify that what kind of logic and how the changes should be identified for each of the attribute of the dimension table. So this is one of the attributes of the dimension table. This is a surrogate key on the dimension table. So we have to go to the right side. We have several options in the drop down. So we can choose the options as appropriate for that attribute. Now this is my surrogate key. So I am just defining it as surrogate key. So now the stage knows that this is the surrogate key. This is the business key. So based on the business key, it will make all the matches from the source data and the dimension already existing data, and it will identify which records have changed, which records have been inserted, which records will be newly inserted in the dimension. Now I have the several attributes. I can define them either as type 1 or type 2. So again, click on the drop down. There are only a limited number of options based on which we need to choose. One will be the surrogate key. So there will be only one column that will be surrogate key. Business key can be one column or more than one column if it's a composite key. Type 1 and type 2, all the other non-key columns will either be type 1 or type 2. So for us, we'll define brand as type 1. So it will not check the brand column for any change in value. Whatever value comes in from the source, it will simply go and update that column in the dimension table with that value. When we define it as type 2, it will make a comparison and try to identify if it's an update in the value. It will update the history record and insert a new record. So it will do that comparison only for the column that we define as type 2. So this is description in our case. Now there is a column called the current indicator. So by default, the stage has the option. It assumes that a dimension table will be having these columns, the current indicator, the effective date, and the expiration date. So we have to define this as current indicator. And our start date and end dates in the dimension tables will be known as the effective date. So again, we can just go and choose an expiration date. So these purpose codes need to be properly set up to enable the stage to identify on what basis it needs to identify the change in the records, which attributes it needs to check, which will be the date column for which it needs to generate the date values and the current indicator attributes. So on this tab, the only thing that we need to do is first define the key on which we want to perform the lookup, or on which, based on which we want to join with the dimension table. So this is the key that we need to define. Same as in a lookup stage, as we define a key, we just have defined the key expression, and we need to define the purpose codes for the columns. So next, instead of going tab by tab, we just need to follow the fast path. So it will take us to the appropriate tab in a sequential manner, the one that needs to be set after this. So the next, it is asking how to generate the surrogate key. So if this is a type 2 dimension, if there's a new record that is getting inserted, it needs to generate a unique surrogate key value for that. So again, the principle remains the same for the surrogate key generation. Either we can use a separate stage, or it is embedded in the stage itself. So we have to choose a source type. It could either be the flat file or the DB sequence. So we'll choose the flat file, and we just need to define the path of the file in which the surrogate key information will be stored. We can define the initial value if we want. We can define the block size. So all those can be defined if needed. The basic things that need to be set up is the source type and the path of that source file. Then we can again just click on this, and it will take us to the tab which is called as the dim update tab. That means it is the output link that is going out for updating the dimension table. So here we need to define a couple of things. So it already has all the attributes which will be existing in the dimension table. It has already pulled those attributes to the output link. We have the surrogate key, we have the purpose codes defined because we had already defined them earlier. We need to define a derivation now for each of these columns. So derivation, when we are defining the derivation for each of the columns, we will need to define a derivation. So this, the first column that is defined as a surrogate key, and I have defined a surrogate key generation technique using a flat file. So what I need to give here is double click, and by default it will show what, by default it will suggest what it needs. So that is the next surrogate key. So if it is not shown, you just need to right click on this, go to the function category. So it's, the derivation cell is similar to the one that we have in transformer. Go to the function category, go to the utility category, and there's this function here, next surrogate key. It's under the utility category in the functions. So what it basically does is simply picks up the next surrogate key that is generated through that file, and in the previous step we have already defined the surrogate key file, which file will be used to generate the surrogate key. So all that is already defined. So now here I can define my, this is just a function that will pick up the next generated key from the surrogate key file. Now the next column I have defined as the business key. So that is the SKU. It's called as SKU in the dimension. So what do I need to map this to? So these are all the attributes that are coming from my source data. So a column called product SKU should be mapped to the SKU. So simply drag and drop, and that should be fine. Again, brand, it's just an attribute. we just need to map it to the source column. So again, a direct mapping, just drag and drop. Description is again just an attribute. So whenever it needs to be populated from the input link, this is the attribute that needs to be referred to, just a drag and drop. Now this is the current indicator. So current indicator, it does not have any, it is not mapped to a source column. We have to define a logic for this. So the logic is simply what is the value which I want in the current indicator column. For the current record, I want the value to be y. So just type the letter y. Just type the constant, whatever value we want. If we want it as true and false, we can type it as true. So here we have to type whatever is the value that we want for the current record. Similarly, for the effective date, what is the value that I'll be getting for the newly inserted records? For all the newly inserted records, I don't have a transaction date coming in from my source. So my logic is that for all the newly inserted records, define the start date as the current date on which the date on which the load is happening. So I can just right click, go to the functions and go to the date and time category. And I have all these functions, so I can just select current date from here. And now what should be my expiration date? So this is all for the current, in the records which will be inserted, not for the update records. So expiration date for any record that is newly inserted into the dimension table would be the maximum date. So again, I can define it as the maximum date, whichever I have defined for my job. Now we can see here that there is another column here called the expire. Now this is disabled for all the other attribute values and the key values, but it is enabled for the type 2 indicator fields for the type 2 dimension. So now in the expire column, what we need to specify basically is that what will be the value of the expired records for these columns. So the expired record will be the already existing record in the dimension table, and now I'm updating it. So I have a new record which will be set, the current indicator for which will be set to y. So what will be the value for my expired record? My expired record value will be n. I have to update them as n. What should be the expired value for the effective date? The effective date, I do not need to change the effective date. Effective date can be the same, whatever was there on the already existing record. So that is not what I need to change. What I'll need to change is the expiration date, because those records which are already existing in the dimension table need to be end dated. And what will be the end date? End date would be the start date of the current record. So because we have set the effective date as current date, the same thing needs to be set here as well. So they'll be end dated with the current date. So again, go to the function category, date and time functions and current date. So these are the only things that we need to set here. Then I can just click on this again. Now this link is the dimension update link. So all this output will be going to the link which we'll be using for updating the dimension. Now we have one more output link coming out of this save, and that link should contain all the data that will ultimately go to the fact table. So again we click on next. And here now I am seeing that there are two tables in the left side. One is the link 1 that has all the attributes that are coming from my input link or the source data, and the other one is for the dimensional data. So I have all the attributes that I want to pick up from the dimension table. So since it is a fact, I'll only have ID values in the fact and the measures in the fact. So now these store attributes, they are stored, all these store IDs and store surrogate keys are stored in the store dimension. So I have not yet still done a lookup with the store dimension. So I still need to propagate all these to the output so that I can perform a lookup with the dimension. So I need all these columns. Then I've already done my lookup with the dimension, with the product dimension. So I'll just take the surrogate key from the product dimension. And these are the measures. So these I always need in my fact. So I'll take the measures which are coming directly from my source data. And you can just say okay. So these are the 5 steps which we need to, 5 tabs which we need to define for the slowly changing dimension. Now there's 2 output links. This is the one that is going to the dimension. So this can either be connected directly to the database, or we can collect all that data in our data set, which we can use later to update the dimension, the dimension table. And the output link, which contains the fact data, I still need to do a lookup on the store dimension, and I still need to identify the records which are needed to update the store dimension. I've defined this as a type 1. That means I'll just be identifying the records which need to be inserted and the records which need to be directly updated. So again, for doing that, I again need a SCD stage. So again, it's a processing stage. So I need to go here to the processing category, pull the slowly changing dimension stage. And this is my primary link. And this is my reference link. Again, I left 2 output links coming out of this. This will be going to the final fact table. So this will have the final fact data. And this will be the dimension update link. This will be used to update the store dimension. So we can just rename them. So the error was basically that another link had the same name, which is this link. So we cannot have the same name repeated. So we will make this link fact1. Again, we need to set the same properties in the slowly changing dimension stage. Just double click to open it. Go to the fast path. Click on the right arrow. The very first step, it is asking us to define the key which will be needed for performing the lookup. So my column that is coming from the source that I'll be associating with the dimension table is the store ID column. So the lookup will always be on the business key, which can be a single key column. It could be multiple columns as well. Then this is my surrogate key. This is my name. This is my other attributes. Manager we have defined as type 1. And there's also an option not to define anything. So we can just leave it as blank, in which case it will not check for that column at all. It will not check for any type 1 changes or type 2 changes. So whenever there's an update happening because of this column will get updated as well. Otherwise, this will simply be ignored. So no action will be taken based on the value for this column. No changes will be identified for this column if we leave this as blank. Or we can define both of them as type 1. Then again, go to this part. Again, we need to define how to generate the surrogate key for this store dimension. So for every dimension, the surrogate key file will be a unique file. It will be a different file. It cannot be the same file because the keys should be unique for one table. So for every one table, a unique surrogate key file has to be defined. And again, click on the fast path. And now again, we need to define all those rules. So I need to map and define a derivation for all the output columns for the dimension. Again, the tab is dimension update. The output name we can see from here is the link store dimension. And the other output name is link fact1. So we do not follow the fast key. If we simply go to the fact, it shows that this is step 5 of the 5 steps. So we can go back and first define the dimension. So this is my surrogate key. So surrogate key is always, it has to be the next surrogate key. So whatever surrogate key is getting generated through the surrogate key file stage, that will be the next surrogate key will be populated here. If it already exists, the stage can identify on its own that the key, okay, surrogate key always will be new, it will never be already existing. So that's okay. And the column name is ID, so we can map whatever column we want to map to this business key, which will be the store ID. The name would be the store name, so again we can just map it here, and the manager will be store manager. So this is simple because this is just a type 1. We don't need all the columns are disabled for the expire attribute. We do not need to define any condition, the expire condition, because we don't have any of those indicator columns or the date columns which are used for a type 2 dimension. So we can just click on next here, and again we need to define what all are the final columns that we want in the fact table. So here we just need to drag and drop. So I don't need any of the store ID columns now. I just need the surrogate key. A fact table will only have the surrogate key surrogate keys from the dimension tables and the measures. So I have the dim product surrogate key already available here. So I can just drag and drop it here. And I want a store surrogate key. So I can pull it from the reference link. And the other things I need are the measures. So just drag and drop it here. So that is all we need to define here. We can just connect this again to the file stages. So we'll define some data sets. And we just need
So
to.
is this the only way?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is the only way that you can really build up a star schema in a job, isn't it? There's no other way of setting up the build for a star schema. Is that correct, or?
No, we can design jobs. We can design any kind of job to build a star schema. We can have separate jobs which will be loading the dimension tables. We'll have separate jobs which will be loading the fact tables. So that would be happening in most of the scenarios.
Okay. Okay.
So this is not automated like data manager or the other tool. In data stage, we need to customize the code. So it has more, we need to actually design the job, and we can design it in multiple ways and for all complex scenarios as well. So that is the flexibility with data stage. We just need to design the job using so many stages will do the same function. So we just need to design the job accordingly. It's not automated.
Okay. That's. I mean, that's only part of what I was referring to as more thinking about what this appears to be doing is creating a fact table with its dimension tables and keeping them all updated in one go. If you want to use, say, a conformed dimension, how you would only have a job with that slowly changing dimension stage, and that would be it, and no surrogate keys. I think that's probably the bit which I'm struggling how to get to next.
So this is basically a slowly changing dimension stage. So these fact records, so it's a simple example. That's why we are able to extract the fact records directly from just one source file. Most of the times we'll have multiple sources for the fact, and the dimensions will be populated totally independently of the fact. So we can just use the way that we saw yesterday. We had to use a couple of stages. We had to first identify whether it existed, and we had to compare the attribute values. What this will achieve for us is it will do the comparison just by defining the purpose codes. It will do the comparison on its own. and it will generate the records that need to be inserted. It will set the dates for them, the indicator values for them, and the update record. So it's mostly for the slowly changing dimension. Even if it's a conformed dimension, we can just use this. This will be our current data that is flowing in. That will be our dimension unload data set. And we can just take out this link, which is needed for the dimension update. We don't need to consider the fact link in that case.
Okay, so if you wanted to create a proper surrogate key, you would still need factual detailed information to be able to create those surrogate links though, wouldn't you?
So surrogate keys for the dimension tables, they'll be generated through this stage itself. So that is the advantage for the, if you just want to update a dimension, then this is a pretty useful stage for doing that. Then you'll have separate job for updating a fact table. So in that case, you need to perform the lookups again on the dimension tables to extract the appropriate surrogate key.
Okay. So I think what I'm getting to is that sales detail stage on the left-hand side there, that could just be a selected sync of all the primary keys from the sales table, sales fact table, which could be fed into here, which would create the surrogate, those surrogate keys. So then you'd have to do an update back to the factual data to keep those surrogate keys in line. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I'm explaining myself correctly here.
So this sales detail, this is OLTP data or the source data. This will not be a fact table because we need to create surrogate keys and dimension tables only when we are updating the data in the dimension that is coming from the source. We'll never be doing it the other way around. We'll not be updating the dimension tables through the fact tables.
Oh, okay. So that data set 71 at the end.
That is the fact.
That is the fact, but that's not really necessary in the true sense here, because all you really want is the surrogate IDs created, which is actually coming out in 64 and 70. But the original, okay, right. I get it.
Okay. So you'll see when we see the output result, you'll see that it simplifies for a lot the logic that we use for the slowly changing dimensions. Because the same example we used yesterday, and we had to design a pretty big job and do everything in a separate stage, generate the keys, and then define the update links and the end dates and all that. So all that will be taken care here itself. We don't need to define it explicitly. So see, if we just run this job, so the only drawback that we'll see here is that it will put all the records in one data set, the update records as well as the insert records. So the table needs to be updated in an upsert mode. We won't be able to, there will be ways to identify always. We can identify using the current indicator or any other date values.
Yeah. But, depending on the application of the data warehouse, sometimes a full refresh of the fact table is beneficial to performance because you recreate the indexes, don't you?
A full refresh of the fact table. So fact table can be at two levels, right? If it is at the lowest grain level, that is it has daily data or whatever is my lowest frequency of data, then it will not be refreshed daily. It will mostly be insert in an append mode. When we are creating fact tables like monthly and all those, then we always have that option because that can be run on any date range and it would be a truncate and load. So in those cases, they'll be refreshed.
So that data set 71, that could actually be that change data stage there next, which would insert or append the new records to that fact table.
So this is very simple. I mean, you can use it, but this is not an aggregated data set. This is simply whatever is coming from the source, all those measures along with the relevant surrogate keys from the dimension table have been taken till the output. So if it's as simple a mapping as this, then we can just simply take it here. Otherwise, mostly it will be more complicated. We'll need to perform more transformations and there will be other logic involved. So
Yeah.
this is, but
Okay.
this can be used. So many times it is the basic fact that is created is always the lowest transactional level, and it doesn't have much computations on it. Even if they
Yeah.
are there, they'll be at a record level only. So in that case, yes, we can just take all that data. We can, instead of having this, we can, and if we have multiple sources, we can design another job, the extract job, which will have all the joins on all the different source systems. We'll have a composite data set which can be used here. And then we can just do, so this is basically generating the fact record at the same time as the dimension records. And it is making sure that the fact records have the correct surrogate key values going into them.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, mostly even this job will be too big because the fact table will not be having just two dimensions. There will be many other dimensions involved and other cases that it won't be simply a star schema. Most of the time it will be snowflake schema. So there would be a hierarchy involved as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. So in that case,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
sorry. Carry on.
No, so in that case, what would be done in practical scenarios, mostly dimensions, all the dimensions will be updated first, and then the fact table will be updated, and it will be doing a lookup on all the dimension tables to pull the appropriate surrogate keys, and whatever logic needs to be applied, that will be done. Because making too big a job is also not advisable, because if it fails anywhere, then again and again we need to start from scratch. That is not a good thing to do. We need to have breakpoints. We need to split the job so that at least one dimension is updated. I don't need to start the job again, which will update this dimension again, then this dimension again. So
Yeah.
that is not a best practice. We need to split the job into parts.
Okay. Okay.
So here we can see once the job is done, we'll see that in the fact link, the same number of records are there as came from our source data or the OLTP data. So all the records will flow to the fact. Every single record that is coming in from the source will make an entry in the fact table because it will have distinct measures associated with it. For the dimensions, this was defined as a type 2 dimension, and we had 3 records that already existed, and now we are seeing 6 records, and we defined this as a type 2 dimension. So if you look at the data, we'll have only the update records and the insert records. The records that had no change in the dimension table will not be taken to the output link for this. So this is the data. The SKU was our business key. So this is a new record. The current indicator is Y. There's just one record. It was newly inserted. The effective date is today's date, and the expiration date is the maximum date that we set it to. This is also a new record, and similarly, its current indicator is Y. The effective and expiration dates are as set. Now this already existed. So the record that existed earlier has been, the current indicator has been set to no. Effective date is the early effective date, and the expiration date has been set to the current date. So this record is end dated and its current indicator is set to no. There's a new record inserted for the same business key, which is SKU. A new surrogate key has been generated for it. We said that we treated only the description column as a type 2. So it has identified a change in the value in this column, inserted a new record with the new value, set the current indicator to Y. The effective date is current date. The expiration date is the maximum date. And similarly for these records. So this is the old record. This is a new record. And we define the brand as a type 1. So if this value wouldn't have changed, the description value wouldn't have changed, it would have simply gone and updated this record and not created a new record. But since the description column value also changed and we had defined this as type 2, so the previous record is undated, the current indicator set as no, and there's a new record that is inserted. So basically here we have all the records which need to be updated in the target in the dimension table and all the records which need to be inserted in the dimension table in the same output data set. So it has done all the calculations here just by specifying in the purpose codes for those attributes, just set the indicators, all the mappings have been done and the surrogate keys, distinct surrogate keys have been generated. And this is a fact data. So if you look at the fact data, so it will have all the records from the source data. It will just have the production, the DIM product surrogate key and the DIM store surrogate key propagated to it. So it has all those surrogate keys. So basically we have maintained consistent surrogate keys and we have all the measure values corresponding to those records. And the store dimension, review its data. This was defined as type 1. So it will have all the new records and any previously existing record if that needed to be updated. So we can see here that all the IDs, which is the business key for this dimension table, are distinct. We don't have any type 2 kind of, don't have any repeating values for the business key. The surrogate keys have been generated as distinct values. And whatever the values, attribute values, they'll be simply updated. So all these records can be updated or inserted. So here there is no way to identify which is a new record and which is an update record for a type 1 dimension. So this is the only drawback probably, that we cannot identify the insert records and the update records, whereas if we use the change capture stage, we could identify the records separately. So that might be the only drawback. Otherwise, all the functionality that we implemented yesterday through multiple stages is implemented through this one stage. So depending on the project requirement, we can go for this stage. If we simply have a simple requirement, then we can go and upsert in the table, in the database table. So when we need to, this is all shown using source sequential files. So if we need to use database stages, this is how it will look like. So we cannot run it because the connections are not established, but this is how it needs to be set up. So we have considered that DB2 is the database, DB2 tables are there. They have used the DB2 enterprise stages, but we should go for connector stages, which are the recent versions of all these database stages. So simple parameters need to be set up. What is a read method? So this is, we have simply defined that we are reading directly from the table. We have to define the database parameters, the columns, So while reading, it's simple. We can simply read all the values from the, and we need to read all the columns from the dimension. And while updating through the update link that came out of the series stage, if we look at this link, then it will have separate update and insert statements. So this is an insert statement. The mode is upsert. So the update statement will be executed first and then the insert statement will be executed. So the update statement simply is, you can click here, switch to multi-line editor. Update the table, set whatever columns need to be set, because we do not need to update all the columns where the surrogate key is the one that, so when we write the SQL statements in any database stage, this is the way we need to write. Set brand, so this is here we are referring to the table column equal to orchestrate.brand. So orchestrate dot is used basically to refer to the column which is coming from the output link of the previous stage. So this is the data stage column that is coming from the output link of the SCD stage, and this is the table column. So we always need to refer to the columns that are coming from the data set stage, data stage stages as orchestrate dot and then the column name that we have defined in the output link of that stage. So this is simply an update. Update means that the surrogate key already existed. We are just end-dating that record. So they have simply updated the current indicator, the brand because that was a type 1, and the expiration date. And then we need to write a separate insert statement. So whatever values need to be inserted, all the values that were generated to the data stage have been referred to as orchestrate dot. So we need to insert all the new records, all the surrogate keys will be newly generated. So the surrogate key will be inserted, all the attribute values will be inserted, the current date, the expiry, effective dates, all these will need to be updated. So this way we can directly connect to the dimension table through database stages, and the fact would be simply insert and append. So it will simply write to the fact, just give the table name, and the mode is append. That means it will keep on adding the records to the fact table. So we can also give it as update mode. So it will update if there is a new value coming in for the dimension key combination that already existed in the fact table. It will update that record and it will then insert the new records. But mostly the fact tables will be loaded in append mode. There won't be
Wouldn't an update, sorry, wouldn't an update cause a huge overhead in processing to see what's there first before it can update or insert?
for the fact table or the dimension table?
Either.
So for the dimension table, the update will always be executed first because those records need to be end dated, and then the insert will be done. So that will be more effective.
Okay, but for a fact table, if you want to update an existing record and there's millions, tens of millions of records already there, even though they're highly indexed, how, you know, it's a cost overhead to that process, right?
Yeah, it is. So mostly the fact tables are never run in that mode. Mostly it would be simply an append that will be happening on the fact table. And if there is such a scenario, then there would be some separate processing that will be happening at some, if there are records which are updated in the past date and they need to be inserted, and some separate processing will be happening for those records to identify those records and update those records and all that. And another way obviously is to take only those records. So here we are just doing it all at the same time, but mostly again what will be done is we'll have a source data that will be coming, we'll be storing in some staging layer. So we have the staging table. And again, even the dimension table will have lots of data. that doesn't need to be considered for all these comparisons, because again, a dimension, all those records will not be coming in the daily batch load. So before doing a simple direct update, direct reference, taking a direct reference link out of the dimension table, we'll be performing a join on the dimension table. If we are using a DB2 stage directly, the database stage directly, we'll be simply joining on the business keys and pulling only those records out of the dimension table which are coming in today's data load, because only those need to be considered for all these changes and comparisons. So it is never done that all the dimension data will be read and it will be compared with the little amount of data that is coming in my incremental load. In the first stage itself, they perform a join either through, if it's coming from the files, they'll be performing a join to the data stage join stage. Otherwise, simply through a SQL, a join will be performed. Only the matching surrogate key columns, business key columns will be pulled up, and that too only the current record. So here we have taken a simple scenario. We have just one record existing, but there will already be a history for the same business key existing. So we just need to check the current record for any changes, not the past history record. So again, when doing the comparison, we first need to filter on the current record based on either the current indicator or the date column.